Joining us now from South Dakota is a former U.S. attorney for the state of Utah who knows the system inside and out, Brett Tolman. Kash Patel, head of the FBI, there's a report on Fox News today that the Trump administration is turning against him. Do you have any idea why? What is causing that?
Well, I don't believe it. I think what the articles I've seen, they're sourcing individuals within the FBI who were anonymous in their comments. I think it comes as a result of him perhaps jumping the gun too soon, wanting to have transparency and then, let people know what was going on the ground in the investigation, perhaps a little too early. He indicated that there was an individual in custody. That was not the case at that moment when he sent that out. He had to, backtrack on that. Look, I think this is, it is unusual to see the director of the FBI willing to give, real-time information as he gets it. I think he's probably learned a bit from this and may hold his cards a little closer to confirm.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the big deal? So he made a mistake. So what?
Exactly.
I mean, look, I'm not sticking up for Kash Patel. We've been trying to get him on a program for 6 months. He's giving me the big middle finger. So I have no reason. And I'll be honest, he didn't want to answer my questions. I mean, that's the last thing on earth he wants to do. Okay. So I'm not a big fan of Kash Patel at this point in history, but I don't see what the FBI, who's assisting the state of Utah in this investigation, I don't see what they did wrong. Did they do anything wrong that you saw?
No, I didn't, Bill. And I think, that's a fair point by you who, he hasn't come on the show. I'd love for him to come on the show. I think he should answer some questions that you have for him. And I'll tell him that when I talk to him. But good. I think, look, the DNA evidence, they did that very quickly that they found. They also have been analyzing other evidence very quickly, putting it as a top priority. They're doing what they need to do. And keep in mind, they are going to lead the investigation into whether or not there were co-conspirators. And if there are, then they will be the point of the spear.
Sure, that's a conspiracy. Right. And Mangino hinted at that today. But again, we're not going to get out of what we know and speculate because that's what all the others do. It's a total waste of everybody's time.
That's right.
But bear with me for one more on this Patel, and then I want to get into the state of Utah. Right now, from my vantage point, I have seen nothing the FBI has done wrong in this investigation. Am I missing something?
No, in fact, my comments from my friends in law enforcement in Utah County that are involved in this have indicated the FBI has been an absolutely terrific partner.
I'm glad to hear that. State of Utah, conservative state, not crazy, but small state. Death penalty is there. Can't remember when the last time it was used in Utah. Can you remember the last time death penalty was used?
Gary Gilmore was executed.
Wow.
Yep, I believe Gary Gilmore was the last execution by firing squad, which is still legal in Utah, but very unlikely in this case.
Cold and flu season coming on up. We all know it. And it really is nothing to take lightly. So when people start getting sick all across the country, medications disappear. Everybody wants it at the same time. So it's very, very smart to have a pharmacy you can count on, like All Family Pharmacy. Right now, they're helping Americans get ahead of the curve with 10% off antibiotics, antivirals, other essentials. You know how important it is to have the right meds when you get sick, particularly when your kids get sick. You don't want to be going into the doctor's office, spending all the time. You want to have them at your home. So if you have a few months supply, you don't have to worry. And that's what we're doing here. If you believe in medical freedom, okay, and taking care of your family, as I do, this is the pharmacy for you. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. And there's no soft on crime stuff like Chicago and New York City and LA. You don't see that, right?
That's right.
All right. Mormon-based, all right, which means Christian tenets from the Mormon point of view. So this guy goes through the system, His lawyers are going to plead, he's insane. You know that. That's the only way they can go to try to save his butt from the execution. But I have confidence that the state of Utah will be able to try this case in a fair way. I haven't, again, it's like the FBI. I haven't seen any evidence where you're handing it over to people who don't know what they're doing. You know way better than I do, though.
They do know what they're doing. They've handled their fair share of very difficult homicides. One thing to, for folks at home to understand, the insanity plea is very difficult in Utah. In essence, they're going to have to show that he has an incapacity to appreciate right versus wrong. That's going to be a very difficult burden in this case because there's plenty of social media. There's plenty of other witnesses that are going to come forward. And his effort to actually hide and conceal after the murder is evidence, the best evidence for knowing right.
It's not going to work. He's going to get the death penalty, but it'll take forever. Last question: the trans business.
Yes.
Does that have anything to do with this case? Do you feel that that's going to be injected? Because he's apparently this guy, the alleged shooter, was living with a guy who was trying to be a girl or something. Anything there?
I've not seen anything that suggests that it's a part of the evidence building against, the individual in question here, Tyler Robinson. But I do know if there is a conspiracy, if there is an individual, his partner and roommate is involved in it, then it will be injected into it because it certainly may be the motivation. It may be what the evidence, that gets presented by a prosecutor to say, this was an effort, the motivation behind, this was the justification for his action. So I guess it's too early to tell at this point.
You bring up an interesting question. Does the prosecutor have to give a motive or just show that he did it?
No, usually there does have to be a motive to get juries. But in this case, I don't think they're going to need a motive because it's so apparent. An assassination is so different than any other homicide. So I think they'll be very, probably relieved that they
it might happen. I mean, certainly the news media desperately wants it. But the prosecution is not going to have to convince the jury.
That's right.
The assassin led to his own family will be enough to do that.
That's right.
Because he was radicalized. All right, Brett. As always, you really deliver very good, pithy analysis, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you.